Hey guys, today is going to be a story time makeup tutorial. There were two things that inspired me to do this tutorial, or to do it as a story time. One of them was, it's Valentine's Day, so of course I thought I'd tell you a little bit about my love life. And then the other one is that someone in a makeup group I'm in posted something saying that she wanted everybody in the group to say a random fact about themselves that probably nobody else knew. So that just got me to thinking about how so many of you guys probably don't know me personally, so I wanted to share a little bit of who I am with you. So yeah, I've already done all my foundation and my brows. I put some powder under my eyes. I don't do baking. It wasn't really for that purpose, but it was just because some of the shadows that I'm going to be using are really pigmented, so it gets fallout and it's easier to just dust it off if you have some extra powder under there. So there's that. But yeah, we're going to get started. So I wanted to tell you guys, number one, the random fact that I wrote on that post was that I am married to my high school sweetheart. We first started dating when we were 15 in 2003. We met in high school. We went to the same school. I started kindergarten early. I was 4 turning 5 when I started kindergarten, and then after my sophomore year of high school I was in really advanced classes and I had enough credits that I could skip, so I went ahead and went to senior after sophomore instead of waiting and going through junior and senior. So yeah, I was a senior when I was 15 and Brandon was a sophomore. And we had met before, but it just wasn't a big deal. Like, it was just kind of a hi and bye thing. But that year, I don't really know why we first started talking, but I do know that we were both in a drama class. We were actually in 2 different periods though, but we were in drama class, and the drama teacher did a really big dance show every year. If you don't know me personally, I'm not a dancer at all. Like, I just trick people by not dancing and then they assume that I can dance, but I cannot dance. I mean, I'm alright with the basics, but nah. There's little kids in these videos on the internet that dance 10 times better than me, so I'll just leave that there. Brandon, on the other hand, is a dancer. He can dance. So one day we were practicing. All the classes were there because we were about to do the dance show, but they had us all separated. So the ones that were dancing were in the auditorium on the stage, and then the other ones were across the hall in the gym, just waiting for our turn. So at one point I went over there because his class was dancing, and I was just watching. I think somebody else was with me. We were just watching their dance, and yeah, he totally could dance, and I was like, whoa, what is this sensation I'm feeling? I don't know how to feel about this. But needless to say, not long after that, we started dating. There was definitely no sweet little, oh, will you be my girlfriend type thing. It was more like everybody keeps asking if we're dating. So I guess now you can just go ahead and tell them that we are. Okay, so you're not gonna ask me, so what you're gonna do is just tell me that I'm your girlfriend now. Okay. Well, I'm not even gonna front and say that I made him ask me or that I even had a second thought about it, because I totally was like, okay. We started dating, and we were like together all the time. We didn't do anything, I will say that, because both of us were virgins when we met. But we were just together all the time. We wanted to spend all of our time together. But we were both we were good kids. We both had really good grades, and we were both on track to go to college and everything, so our parents didn't really fuss about it too much in the beginning. It was only after we started getting a little bit more serious, or how they felt like we were getting too serious, and then they started trying to like tell us we could only spend time together on the weekends or whatever. We just couldn't spend as much time together. And of course then we went through our sort of rebellious stage because you can't keep me away from the one that I love. Actually, I forgot this part. I forgot this. It made me think of it because Valentine's Day is coming up. We were the first ones to ever tell each other that we loved each other. Like, I never said that to anyone else before him, and he never said it to anyone else before me, that I know of anyway. But the first time we ever told each other we loved each other was on Valentine's Day. Our first Valentine's Day together. It was about 4 months after we started dating. On our 1-year anniversary, we decided to get promise rings for our anniversary. We picked them out a few months before our anniversary, and then we saved for a little while and went back to get them. And yeah, so I don't have to tell you every little tiny thing that happened, but we ended up dating for about 4 years, and then we broke up, and we didn't talk for like 2.5 years. Obviously it was really devastating at the time, but I feel like there's no way we could have made it as adults had we not had that time apart, because we were still so young, you know, you still have so much stuff to experience. He started dating another girl and probably had like a good dozen girlfriends between that time, but I dated one guy during that time, and that relationship got kind of serious, and we moved in together, and I ended up getting pregnant, and we didn't work out for many reasons, but we broke up. I feel like a little while into my pregnancy, he kind of was like, oh my God, I'm not ready for this. And I feel like we kind of just slowly deteriorated from there. So we ended up officially breaking up for the final time about 3 weeks before my son was born. I remember the first time I saw Brandon again, I was about 8.5 months pregnant, and his girlfriend was pregnant at the time. I remember I had found that out right before I saw him, and it was like, it was really devastating for me. Like, it was really, really hard for me to find out that his girlfriend at the time was pregnant, because he was just always the person that I felt like I was supposed to be with. So, and I also knew that he was the kind of guy that just wanted to be there for his children. He never wanted to be a father that was absent, because he had a father that was absent from his life, and he just never wanted to do that to a child. So I just felt like it just hit me really hard, because I felt like he was gonna be with this girl for the rest of his life now. And I couldn't say anything, because obviously I was 8 months pregnant at the time too, so what do you say to that? But still, it was just really hard for me. And when I found out, I like stood up in the middle of class and walked out and got in my car, just big pregnant girl, got in my car and started driving home, and literally had to pull over on the side of the road on my way home, and just because I was like bawling and couldn't see anything. When I saw him, I told him that I heard about the baby, and I was glad that he was happy, and oh my goodness, really? So many years later, it still affects me. And I was happy that he was happy. I never wanted him to be miserable without me, because when you really love somebody, you don't want that for them. We saw each other a few times on campus after that, and there were times that he would just completely ignore the fact that I was pregnant and just act like he did not see my huge belly. And we would just talk, and then there were other times that, oh, there was one time that I remember specifically that he just stopped in the middle of our conversation and asked me if he could try and feel the baby. Okay, that was another emotional time for me. Just because I knew how hard it was, knowing how it felt that he was having a baby with someone else, like, just to have to look at me every day while I was carrying someone else's baby, like, this is ridiculous right now. Like, it's really ridiculous, okay? Good Lord, I'm trying to do makeup and I'm crying it off as I'm doing it. One day I was actually on campus just talking to him, and he got a phone call from his girlfriend, and she said that she had lost the baby. And although I was heartbroken about the fact that he was having a baby with someone else, number one, I would never want another girl to lose a baby. One thing I didn't tell you guys was that when I first found out I was pregnant, and then about a week after that, before I could even have an ultrasound or anything, I started bleeding, and I went to the emergency room and they told me that I had lost my baby. But I ended up finding out about 8 weeks later that I was pregnant. And when I went there, I was like, there's no way that I'm pregnant again. I'm not that dumb to just accidentally get pregnant again right after this happened. And I had been like crying for the entire 2 months. There was no way. I wasn't doing anything that would have formed a baby, if you understand what I'm saying. So the doctors, he really was just like humoring me because he didn't believe what I was saying. But he said, I said, there's no way that I could have gotten pregnant again, so I have to still be pregnant. And he didn't believe. So he said, you know what, we'll check and see if we can hear the heart. Because he said you can only hear the heartbeat when you're about 11 weeks pregnant. And if what you're saying is true, you would be at least that far along. So he got out the little heart monitor and he started moving it around in my belly, and you couldn't hear anything, and you couldn't hear anything, and then all of a sudden there it was, the little heartbeat. So he scheduled an ultrasound for the next week just to see how far along I was and how the baby was and figure out what was going on. And when I came back, I was almost 13 weeks pregnant. Again, this is 8 weeks after they've told me that I lost my baby in this very same hospital. And it ended up being that I had been pregnant with twins, and I lost one and not the other one. And because I had lost that baby, that's what had caused the bleeding, that's what had caused the changing in the chemical balances. So when they did my blood work and everything, that's what made them feel that I had lost my child. When they had told me that I lost my baby, I was so afraid that I was never going to be able to have a child. So it's really hard to hear that someone has lost a baby. That's just always been really hard for me to hear that. So back to the story. He got this phone call while I was sitting there with him, and she said that she had lost the baby. Yeah, like I said, I would never wish that on any woman to lose their baby, and I'd never wanted him to lose a child either. Just because it wasn't with me and it wasn't an ideal situation does not mean that I ever wanted that for anybody. And that situation still really makes me really sad, just to know that a baby didn't make it. So we just formed a friendship again. And I remember one day he texted me and he said, I don't know what I've been doing for the last 2.5 years. I don't know how we didn't talk for so long. But we just knew that we wanted to be in each other's lives. So, long story short, they ended up breaking up somewhere down the line. And no, we did not just hop back into a relationship after that. He kind of went to explore the world, and he had some things he had to do before he would really grow up and want to be the person that I needed him to be. And obviously there was a lot of heartache that happened during that time. I got my feelings hurt more than enough times. There was a couple times we stopped talking, but it always came back. He was just that person that I just didn't know how to let go of. But, I mean, we had lost our virginity to each other, and that doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people, but I feel like it bonded us, and there was just something there. He and I were never officially back together for a long time, but we kind of dated off and on for a while. We officially got back together, and yeah, so we kind of grew from there. And then at the end of 2012, Brandon got an offer to do a paid internship at a studio in Atlanta. And at that time we were living in Tennessee, which is where we met. And it was kind of like the opportunity of a lifetime for him. So what do I say at that point when he gets offered this position? No, you can't go, please don't leave me. Like, why? I don't know why anybody would ever hold someone back from their dream like that. So of course, tearfully, I said, okay, you need to go. And so he moved to Atlanta and started doing this job. Now the paid internship was only for 4 months, so I obviously couldn't just pick up and move right then, because number one, I didn't have a job there, and number two, what if the internship didn't turn into a job and then we had all moved out there for nothing? So I stayed in Tennessee. I actually started a job at a mortgage company the same week that he moved to Atlanta and started his job at the studio. So it was about, oh, let me just tell you, I was super bitter at God for this too. Like, I had been looking for a job for about 4 months, I think, and I finally get this job at the same time that he's offered a job in another state, and I just couldn't understand why God would move him away and keep me here. I just did not understand that. So I had lots of tearful conversations with God about this, but again, of course, you can't just ask someone who you really love, and the main thing you want from for them is to be happy and achieve their dreams. You can't just ask them to not take a job that could be the job that changed their life. So yeah, there was a couple arguments that he and I had, but he had already moved out there at that point, and it was just more frustration because I didn't know when I was going to be able to move out there, and it was just really hard to have a long distance relationship. The good thing was we were only about 3.5 hours apart, so every other weekend I would drive to Atlanta, and on the opposite weekends he would drive to Tennessee, and we would spend our weekends together, which is not cheap, first of all, but it's what we had to do to get through the weeks. It's really hard to be away from somebody that you really love and you're so used to seeing all the time, and they move away. So we made that work. It was about 7 months that we did that, and then the job that I had started, they told me when I first started there that you have to work there for about 18 months before you can ever request to be transferred to another branch. So I'm over here thinking that it's gonna take me a year and a half to even move to Atlanta. Meanwhile, I was still applying for things in Atlanta, but it's really hard to apply for things in another state and you can't even go interview because you live in another state. So that was really frustrating. Lots of really frustrating moments during that journey, but then after about 6 months of working there, my manager told me that he really cared about me as a person, and he really cared about my happiness, and I was doing such a great job with the company, and he wanted to talk to the CEO about letting me transfer to Atlanta so that Lyric and I could be with Brandon. And oh my gosh, it was so like nerve-wracking trying to wait for that process, and then I had to have like a sit-down meeting with the CEO about transferring and what the expectation of me was in my new position and everything. So I ended up getting a promotion and starting my new job in Atlanta after at the time that I moved, it was 7 months after I had started there, but at the time that they offered it to me, it was 6 months. So that was really amazing. God really moved there, so please don't get frustrated when you feel like things are completely falling apart. It's just God working it out in another way that you can't really see because you're so focused on this way of getting there and getting there in this amount of time, you can't see how He's really working in the bigger picture. So don't get frustrated about that because He's working on it. If it's for you, you will have it. Yeah, so we ended up moving to Atlanta, where there's no way I could afford to be here with Lyric if I lived here by myself with the job that I had. So we moved in together, and we have lived together not that long, maybe a couple months. And one day he started, like, we would just be talking or whatever just randomly, and he would just act like he was gonna get down on his knee, and then he would laugh so hard at my reaction, like he thought it was so hilarious, and he was like, "Oh, you really want to marry me?" I did not find that funny. So one day he said, "Do you want to get married?" And I was like, "You know what, dude? I don't even want to talk to you about this. I don't even think that it's a funny joke anymore." And he was like, "I'm not joking." I was like, "I don't even want to talk to you about it. I don't think it's funny." He was actually serious. And we got married. It was really unexpected. And I just didn't believe that it was happening. But yeah, so we've been married. It'll be 3 years in May, and he's still the love of my life. Like, he's still the person that I can't imagine success without him being here. Like, when I think about my future and all the things that I want to achieve in life, he's always like a part of what I imagine. He's my best friend, and I always feel like he's the person that God made for me. So I hate when I see people like settle for unhappy relationships, because I feel like they're blocking themselves from finding that person that God made for them. Like, just wait for that person. He or she is out there waiting on you. Don't get mad and feel like you've been looking forever and you can't find that person, because you're not gonna find that person when you're looking for them. You're gonna find that person when that person is ready and you are ready to be the people that you need to be to form a successful relationship under God. That's just when it's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen in your time. Sorry, I can't talk while I'm doing eyeliner. This is just a part that needs focus and concentration. be Tamara Mowry. I'm trying to remember if there was any parts. You know, when I tell you guys, when I tell stories to people, sometimes I go off on a little side note there and then I forget to tell you something I was originally telling you. He is my son's father in every way that he could be, other than biologically. I haven't put on any of my contour or anything, so let me do that while my lashes are drying. So you guys know, you saw my foundation routine. If you have not seen it, I will link it in the description bar down below. I wish I could do this like live, so you guys could ask me questions. You can come say hi to them, but then I gotta finish, but I'm almost done. Step over it. Here's my son.
Hi.
Tell him what your name is.
Lyric.
He's out there watching Super Bowl with Daddy. But if you saw my mummy video, he was in that video too. But yeah, I'll probably have another video with him soon. Maybe some more story times or something. All right, tell him bye.
Bye.
Oh, I'm using these Ardell Glamour lashes, number 113. Yeah, I'm gonna put a little bit of black in my waterline. And I am going to give you two options for the lip, just because everybody seemed to like that. It's nice to see which way you can take it. So my first option is going to be Milani Teddy Bear and Mahogany Lip Pencil. The second option is going to be Navy Cabaret Lip Pencil and then Colourpop Silhouette. I love these because they're so pigmented. Oh yeah, and then they get on your teeth. Alright guys, that is it. This is the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed it and enjoy my story. But yeah, maybe I'll start doing more story time so you guys can get to know me, and if you have any similar situations, feel free to leave comments down below and talk to me about it. One thing I do want you to take from this is that everything doesn't always work out the way that you thought it was going to work out, but if you believe in God and you trust in Him, I promise you, you'll be happy with the outcome of your life, okay? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching me. Bye. I can't think of anything right now. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing, but we'll find something.